Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. On the podcast today, I have my good friend and returning guest, Zac Blackledge. Zac is a dad, a husband, an incredible firefighter, and one hell of an athlete, as well as an all-round nice bloke. This episode was recorded back in November of 2024 as we rounded up and connected the dots from some of our previous episodes, from Zac's life-changing stroke, fears that he would lose his job, and uncertain what the future would look like. Since then, Zac has had an incredible recovery, not just a comeback, but has just gone on to achieve so many more things, and we're going to share so many of them with you today. Today we're going to discuss personal growth, resiliency, and staying the course after a massive setback. Zac shares his insights on overcoming adversity, on addressing weaknesses, and the mental strategies that helped him regain his identity and his confidence. We emphasize the importance of self-reflection, of gratitude, and of putting yourself around the right sort of people. We go on to speak about Zac's absolute transformation over these past few years into an incredibly impressive CrossFit athlete, firefighter challenge athlete, and back on the job as a firefighter. We talk about Zac's training cycles, about the landscape of fitness. We talk about overtraining. We talk about sleep, recovery, and all of the intricacies that help support a professional athlete. We go into his structured training, including supplements, nutrition, and sleep, as well as sometimes the positive and negative influence that social media can have on us. And Zac shares some of his favorite pages that he takes guidance and motivation from. At the end, we finally delve into some of our favorite quotes and the world of stoicism that we both use to help guide our moral life compass. So I know you're going to love this one. It's an absolute privilege to continue to touch base with some of my favorite people in the world who help me be a better person, keep me on track, as I also, as we all do, navigate those peaks and valleys. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Zac Blackledge. I'll see you on the other side.
I look like I know what I'm doing.
Well, it's never stops me, does it? How the hell are you, handsome bugger?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Oh, good. Is that your orifice?
What?
Is that your office?
Yes, well, yeah. Guest room, office. It's like a spare room.
You never showed me that when I was there, you selfish bugger.
No, yeah. I'd hardly ever come in here, to be fair, unless it's something like this that I need quiet space.
Yeah.
Because the rest
Do you not do your coaching stuff in
there? Yeah, bits. Like, I've got folders.
I've got folders.
Throwing behind me are folders with stuff in there.
Yeah, I've got folders and books and,
all that stuff.
Like index card. I've got a highlighter. You know, fucking hell,
yeah.
I've got it all. I've got a label maker.
I'm like I'm a dinosaur, mate. I'm old
Just
school.
need shit to label, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you give me something to label, it's going to get dangerous. Right. How you feeling?
Yeah, all right, mate. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm pretty good. Pretty good. I would say. You ever done the Wheel of Life exercise? You ever done that with in your coaching stuff?
No, I don't know. Go on. Remind me.
This episode is brought to you in partnership with Godiva Limited. Godiva is one of the world's leading providers of specialist equipment for emergency services market. Renowned for innovation, quality and reliability, Godiva produces a comprehensive range of fire pumps, including vehicle-mounted, portable, and their cutting-edge integrated total water flow control system, SAMFlows. I've been using Godiva my entire career as a reliable pump on the fire ground. It is such a crucial element of a successful firefighting team that you want to empower your crews with the very best, reliable, quality product. Reach out to our partners by checking the notes in the podcast. Now back to the show. So there's a Wheel of Life exercise that I always used to do with people. And it's a bit like the spokes of a wheel. So you'd have finances, relationships, physical body, rest, well-being, intimate relationship, spiritual, and like you would measure where you think you are on all of the metrics. And then the idea is, if your life is well-rounded, then it feels nice and smooth. You know, it runs nice, doesn't it? But if your life's feeling a bit jarry, then that's because you are not giving enough focus to one area of your life. So it's a nice little thing. I've actually got diagrams of it because I used to print it out and do it with clients, and then I'd take a picture of it and I'd give it to them, and then we'd come up with a strategy of how they want to. It's a bit more of a holistic coaching thing. It wasn't so much just about physical fitness, the stuff that I used to do. Not that there's anything wrong with either, but when I ask myself, like, what am I feeling the rub with at the minute? Why am I only an 8? You know, what would a 9 look like? Or if I'm a 4, what would a 6 look like? Then I try and do a little bit of that. I've got a shit ton to be grateful for. Loads to be grateful for. I have a lot to be grateful for. What are you grateful for?
That, mate, I feel like conversely, I've got a good balance at the minute, like fitness, work, family, goals. I feel like I'm managing well. Like everything's on a good trajectory. I'm in a good place. It's nice. So I'm doing okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are you able to like sit in that and kind of, and it sounds silly to say be happy with it. My problem is it's a bit like, I can imagine you, if me and you were in a relationship, I'll just go with this weird analogy for me. You like set up a fantastic train set and like all of the signals are running well. The train is managed well. It's clearly on a path of progress. People are having a positive experience on our little train set. And you go, oh, I'm really happy with where things are at the minute. And I just walk over with a fucking baseball bat. And then go, all right, let's build something else now.
Yeah,
and you're like,
I'm bored of this now.
what the fuck are you doing, Pete? You know what I mean?
I agree, yeah.
That's kind of what I do.
I think that's what being like. Yeah.
I feel like I've got a limited number of like Lego blocks in my life and I build something cool out of Lego and then I smash it to bits and do something else.
Yeah, bored of that now. What's next? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a terrible habit though. You know what though? In all seriousness, the only thing I'm proud of a lot of things, but one of the things I'm really proud of is, ironically, the podcast is the one thing I've done for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I get to do this a lot, because this is obviously the thing.
Yeah.
But like, I get to talk to interesting people that I respect and that I enjoy, and that actually like, this is secretly like a little university for me, really. Yeah. Like I speak to interesting people that I love to spend time with, that inspire me, that hold me accountable, make me better, all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of like the thing, there's that old trope analogy where like, oh, if you find something you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
But like, I really feel like this is it sometimes. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like editing stuff at 11 o'clock at night and and working with sponsors sometimes is annoying. But it's a net positive relationship, I think, that I have with this thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, we digress. Yeah. I was thinking about how I wanted us to start today, because I'm going to start by A, blowing smoke up your bottom, but B, I think of you a lot the way I think of Matt, Carl, who I work with actually, so there's a non-fitness one. People that make me better. I said it publicly about Matt Adams, our mutual friend, recently, about he makes me a better person. And also John Gregory. I've done a few cool things with him. Really love John. And I listed you off when I was talking to John the other day. And I said to John, because when we were walking into the NEC in Birmingham to do the High Rocks thing, and we were talking about friends and how long we've been friends for and all this sort of stuff for. And I said to him, because I'm a bit weird, I was like, do you think we're friends? It's very weird. He said, what are you on about, you knob?
Yeah.
You know, of course we're friends. I was like, no, but like, if we didn't do similar things, would we still be friends? And he's like, I don't really know, because I've like grown out of friends in the past. Like I'm sure you may have. I've not outgrown them, but like different chapters of life, aren't they?
Yes.
But then I think like if I'm not doing a similar thing they're doing with them anymore, then I might never see them again. But then I kind of think that's okay, because I think friends, relationships, partners, spouses, these people should make you a better person. They should add to your life, not detract from it. And you're someone that, you know, when people, I can't remember what number episode it is, but people listen way back, when we first had our first interactions, you were just someone that was, at the time you were really struggling with something, but you had a real calm focus about what needed to be done and setting that pathway out, setting that plan out, much like we were just talking before we came on. Everything's set out, you're good, you're in a good place, you can sense the progress that you're making in several elements of your life. And that is really, really niche. So I wanted to get you back on to talk about A, all of the recovery stuff, B, how you've sort of managed your way through it. C, was it an accident or was it planned? And I know kind of come with the answers to this. And hopefully frame it in such a way that for the many people that are probably going through something similar, or this will go out in around January, so people that are maybe thinking about trying to make a big change. Now, your change was kind of enforced upon you, but you were already kind of on a path in a good way anyway. So maybe start by cycling back to, if it's a long time ago now, but like when we
Yeah.
first had a chat, what were we talking about?
Just what happened, minor details of it, where my head was at then, and how am I gonna overcome it? What does it look like? And like you said, it was a long time ago. Like I was in not a great place, but like I had minuscule optimism of what I could, get back that I thought I'd lost. And I had things, to aim for, to try and fix. Like you said, it was enforced on me. Felt sorry for myself for a while, and then I've like this is enough. It's time to
Mm.
set these things in motion. Just do what I can, control what I can control. Ignore the faraway goals. Let's just make progress. And I kind of just did that initially.
So for
Yeah,
people that may have not listened to your first episode, what did happen?
had a stroke. Yeah,
And not a nice one.
no, pretty bad one. It was at a CrossFit competition 2.5 years ago, just over. Um,
God, is it that long now?
yeah, long time ago. And yeah, last event warming up, and then boom, I lost my arms. I couldn't speak, and it was like a out of body experience. It was like I was sat on my shoulder watching my body, like
Mm.
trying to figure out what's happening to me, and this out of body me were like screaming at me, "Move your arms, speak, what's happening, fix it," and I couldn't
Mm.
do anything. And then luckily my mate came over. I could hear like my slurred speech. It was like
Mm.
harrowing, like really frightening. And like I said, my arms had gone. I was like, "What the heck? I'm dying. I'm dead. Like I can't do anything. What's
Mm.
wrong with me?" Blah blah. And yeah, my mate came over, realised something was really wrong, screamed for help, got me to one side, and then eventually paramedics came and said, "You've had a stroke," and whisked me off to Middlesbrough Hospital, and then loads of tests. Yeah, so that's kind of what happened and how fast it happened and scary it was. Yeah,
What was your interpretation of what people are like when they have a stroke?
yeah,
Because if I said to you, Zach, I've got a friend of mine behind this curtain, he had a stroke a month ago, and without your experiences, what would you expect? And we're saying this all with respect, and I know people that have a stroke have, but typically, what would you think this person's going to look and sound like?
yeah. Disabled,
Hmm.
unable to move
Yep.
parts of the body, can't talk
Yep.
properly, can't register
Yep.
things. There's variations in there in how serious a stroke is,
Mm.
how young and fit you are when it happens. But yeah, your instant mind goes to, I'm done. My body
Yeah.
is done.
Yeah.
And that's the scary thought. Isn't it?
And then you start extrapolating forward. You're like, because again, when someone has a stroke, I look at them wrongly, or if I just meet someone and I don't know they've had a stroke, you just think, oh, this person's just disabled. They've probably
Yeah,
always been disabled. They can't speak properly. They're probably stupid. And you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And that's a horrible mindset that I used to have before I learnt a little bit more about it. And you do. And it's the same way, like when I was in a wheelchair for a little bit after one of my injuries, people
same.
treat you
Yeah,
differently. Even though you're in, like, they assume you must have some other cognitive issue because you're in a
yeah,
wheelchair or because you say I've had a stroke or you have slightly slurred speech. I remember the recordings of you trying to, and that was so
yeah,
brave, mate. And I bet looking back now, you're so glad you
yeah,
captured it as
yeah.
well.
Just to
Like
see.
when you were helping your son with his
Yeah,
schoolwork and trying to read to him and just thinking like, God, is what does my son think? How can he understand? What's my missus going to think? Is she going to have to support? Is she going to have to help me go to the toilet for the rest of my life? Is she going to have to? Does she even want to be with me? Do I want her to be with me? Like my ex-wife, her dad had a really bad muscle wasting disease, and he sort of said privately to me once, he was like, "Oh, if I knew what was going to happen, I wouldn't have put my wife through this. I wish we weren't together and stuff like that." And that was like, Jesus, because we do say for better or worse, but we never assume the worst is going to be
yeah.
I'm disabled.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, like I
Hmm.
said, in Middlesbrough Hospital, after I'd done a load of tests, I didn't have any answers. I would kind of lay there. I couldn't speak or communicate, and I was going through all these things in my head, like that. Like, do I want to tell Katie right now? The answer is no, but like she's gonna find out. Like, and then what? And then what? And then what? And my head was blowing up, like with what the heck do I do now? Why is this happened to me? Loads of fear, scared, worried. It was horrible, mate. Horrible.
You've absolutely crushed the recovery, but what I don't want to do before we get into some of the wins and some of the big stuff you've been doing this year, I don't want us to do the misjustice of maybe anyone that finds themselves at the beginning of that, and we can even narrow down to the specifics of a stroke, perhaps. Like, what advice did you get? What resources did you go to? What advice would you give somebody who has just, woken up in the hospital being told they've had a stroke?
Yeah. Everyone's different, aren't they? And I took it really hard. Like I felt like I'd lost. I was guilty of thinking I was invincible. You know, young, fit, strong. Nothing bad would ever happen to me. And then bang, it happened. And I was broke, mate. So sad. Uh, why me? Blah blah blah. But like in the hospital, everyone's there trying to help you, guide you, and like I said initially, I couldn't speak properly. It was like, and then when it did come out in bits, it was like in the wrong order. Or I was like, I didn't want to say that. I wanted to say this in my head. You know what I mean? It was coming out
Mm.
wrong, and they're like trying to understand what I'm saying and help me, and that was frustrating initially, because I knew what I wanted to say, and I'm like, what the heck
Yeah,
is happening?
yeah.
Like it was weird, mate. And then speech therapist came in. Like I was looking at cards of like a picture of a woman mowing the lawn and kids putting cookies in a cookie jar and the dad like reading a newspaper. He said, "Just tell me what you see." And I couldn't say mowing. I was like, "Muh, muh," and she was like, it's okay, it's all right. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I know what I want to say. It's like, it's
Yeah.
here. I know what she's doing. I can't fucking say it. It was mad, mate. Like, and then,
I
we
think
just
I'd
did
just be
that.
crying all the time if that happened.
Yeah, I did cry a lot, mate. I'll be honest. Like,
Mm.
just stuff like that. Because like, I know what I want to say, and I'm trying to do it, and then all of a sudden, my brain and my body or whatever is like, no, mate, we can't speak like that anymore. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
I want it. I know. Like,
yeah.
a day ago I used to speak normal. It was so annoying, like frustrating. And yeah, the journey of that. And then, like I say, I had a lot of help with that. They were bringing cards, like small books, and then I just started reading a little bit. And it slowly came back. Like there were lots of words that I just couldn't say, like mowing initially, or bigger words. And I started making a list of all them words. And I'm like, they're on my list to fix. One day, I'll
They're
get to
goal
them. But
words.
yeah. Every now and then I'd read and then be a word. And I'm like, I can't say that right. Write it down, whatever. And that was my little
But
process.
even that
Yeah.
systematic approach says a lot about you. I think without you even knowing it, because like I'd probably just be super sporadic, and there's probably still things I wouldn't be able to say now. I don't know if that means I'm just avoiding hard work, but like where did this systematic approach to so many of the things that you do in life, was that always the case? Because you didn't always do CrossFit and all this sort of stuff. You used to play a
No.
lot of different sports.
Yeah. I used to be big on sports. Football was my main one younger, and then a bit of a knee injury ruled that out. And then it was more like circuit training, bodybuilding. Kind of found CrossFit eventually, but like you said, anything I do, if I'm doing it, I want to be good at it. I'm
Mhm.
invested, and I'll find my weaknesses on whatever it is, and I don't mind working on my weaknesses. I don't need to do something because I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
I like there'll be elements of like say CrossFit for example that I'm good at and I'll do them now and again, but I'm happier working on my weaknesses. So then one day I'll be really good at what I'm trying to be good at. Like
Mm.
I don't mind spending time working on what I'm rubbish at. Like and not many people can do that because it's not fun
No.
sometimes. Like it's demoralizing sometimes and it's
No.
humbling. But when you start seeing the little wins, the little progress, I'm addicted to that. I'm like I've just fixed that weakness. I'm good at it now.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like that. Yeah. And I can do that for as long as it takes.
Why do you think we're so averse to working on? Because when we do like 360 feedback or like work appraisals or stuff like that, we do identify people's weaknesses. But as you get a little bit older, certainly, and your sort of neuroplasticity starts to drop off, you almost want to only focus on the things that you're good at. And you feel like, well, I'm an adult now. I'm in my 30s. I should be a competent person. Like, I don't like the idea of showing people I'm rubbish at something. Why do you think? Because that limits so many of us, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a form of like embarrassment sometimes, isn't it? If you don't know anything, you stay quiet, you shy away, you don't do that for whatever reason. You start cherry picking what you're good at, and if you don't do that, or don't address it, or cherry pick, you're never gonna fix that weakness. It's always gonna hang over you, isn't it? And I've been guilty of that. Like younger me, like a little bit impatient, like focus on what I'm good at, and then like you say, you get to a point, and I've kind of got these holes in my game, and I'm like, it's time to address these, mate. You're never gonna get as good as you could be. There's more potential if you can stop being like, take your ego out of it. Let's step back and foundation build. Let's fix all these holes in your game, whatever it is, work, life, sport. If you can do that and be humble enough to do it, you'll be a better person eventually. It
Mhm.
just takes a bit of pride swallowing sometimes, and yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Swallowing a lot of pride. I always say most people won't be great because they're not willing to be shit.
yeah,
Because like whenever
yeah,
you start anything, you're going to be rubbish. And
100%.
everyone will see you as being rubbish. I remember when I started training in the gym, very, very, very young. I used to go at like 11 at night because I could only lift the bar.
Yeah,
I didn't want
yeah,
to use the bench press when other people could see that I couldn't lift anything more than the bar.
yeah,
And I had to put the pad on the bar if I wanted to squat, and I had to do all these little things, that now I had to put my gloves on because my hands just really hurt, and I was like
yeah,
12, and I shouldn't have been in there anyway. But we hide away from it until you think you're good enough to be out
yeah,
there in the open. But yeah, I always wonder how much of us we leave, unaddressed, and how many marginal gains. Certainly, our podcasting was another thing for me. Like I'd focus so much on the physical aspects and me being a physically capable human being that actually I'd neglected all of the academic side. I'd neglected my ability as a communicator. Like what I'd hopefully think about the podcast now is like people don't really need to know anything about me, or they don't need to know that I'm any good at any kind of sport, which I'm not particularly, but I'm good at some things, because that's not what you're being measured on. And also I realised that in work. Like I think about this with firefighting. You and I and a number of our close friends actually are unnecessarily fit for the job. Now, I know Matt, again, is one of his most clipped quotes that he said recently in an episode. You can never be too fit for a job that can kill you. And I agree.
yeah,
But isn't that also just singing into our echo chamber where we're like, oh yeah, I'm going to take 10 casualties out. You
yeah,
watch this. Now I don't even need the cylinder. I just go hold my breath. You know what I mean? You're like, well, hang on a minute. Do you know what I mean? And also it can become a little bit elitist.
yeah.
So I try not to lean too much into my own personal preferences and like unconscious bias, and try and work on those areas. So when you'd started to work on some of the big setbacks, I think when you first came on, you'd just gotten operational again. Is that right? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gore-Tex Professional Fabrics. Now, we all know the working environment of a firefighter is filled with challenges. We face serious risks on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, and we frequently come into contact with high levels of toxic chemicals. Now, I have been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents, and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together.
Not first time, no. I think the second time I got my job back
Okay.
finally, but the first time I was still kind of like fighting for my job back. I was getting close, but there were like lots of hoops still to jump through. They didn't really. They were suggesting to me maybe think of a different career path, non-operational, and like I said, that broke me. And just because of the person I thought I was or attached myself to my identity,
Yeah.
I get it though because they were scared. Something really bad happened to me, and then everything else just fell off. No one wanted to touch me or take a risk on me,
Yep.
and that, like I said, that was hard to take, mate. That broke me mentally as well.
Mhm.
And like we said, that kind of just like I just closed all the doors and accepted my circumstances. And like I will just rebuild. I will just rebuild, and then one day we'll have a look at that door again, and I'll pop my head in and say, "Look, this is what I've built now. Are
Yeah.
you happy yet?" Or whatever. That's kind of the mindset I adopted.
Mhm.
There's a good quote off Marcus Aurelius, remind yourself
Well,
of what you've been through and what you've had the strength to endure. And like I said, at times I was really sad and upset, and I'd come up here and I'd look at my little wall of accolades, and I'm like, I was champion recruit in the parachute regiment when I passed out, and then I left the parachute regiment, I joined the fire service, and I got the silver axe. And I was looking at them and I'm like, I'm still that person. I did those things. Like, even though Hockey Health don't know that because I've never
Mm.
told anyone, they just see Zach, the stroke victim, and they've closed that door. I'm like, I,
Mm.
s- I can still do those things. I just need to tap back into that and look at it and remind myself, I'm like,
Mm.
whatever you set your mind to, you can do, mate. You just need to like focus on
Yeah.
what you can control now. And then one day they'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, you're all right. You fixed it. And I'm like, I'll just show them eventually. And kind of just did that internally best I could. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, I like, it was like, I'd finally done, I'd set up to do high rocks in fire kit, which was what we spoke about, I think. And it were
Mhm.
like 2 days after that, they must have seen it or heard about it. And they rang me saying, can you come in for a medical? Like, and I'm like, oh, this is it. This is it. I'm like getting a little bit excited, but didn't want to get too excited in case it just chin me off again. And yeah, it kind of just, and then got there and they're like, what were you doing the other day? I told him in fire kit, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, right. Where are you up to with the report from your specialist? I'm like, they've already cleared me back to work. It's you guys that are stalling. Like, I've
Yeah.
got everything I need. I'm fit. They say I'm fit. It's you. Like, and so they got it all together and said, you know what? We'll sign you off. And I cried, mate, in front of him. We were like, are you all right? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm fine. But I'm just really happy. This is what I wanted all this time. And like, it's like, I was so happy, mate. I rang my
Yeah.
missus straight away when I got out, cried again.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I like, it's kind of like over. I'm over the worst of it now. And I got my life back, so to speak. And I was,
Yeah.
yeah, that was it.
I
Yeah.
love what you said there about, I think Goggins refers to it as the mental cookie jar, like reaching back into your mind and going, reminding yourself who the hell you are.
Yeah.
You know, these things, these pieces of evidence of, well, I've done this and I've done this. And, you know, those elements, it's not about resting on your laurels because, like, you're using those things to empower you forward. You're not
Yeah.
one of those people that sits there and goes,
Look
oh,
at what
I
I
used to
did.
be an
Yeah.
Olympic athlete 20 years
Yeah.
ago. And they're like, yeah, but now you're a fat mess. Like,
No.
what's happened? You know what I mean? You use those things as layers of paint, as like an undeniable evidence that you are who you say you are.
Yeah.
And we all do need reminding about that at times
It's
because
powerful, mate. Yeah.
that imposter syndrome is so, like,
Yeah.
the voice of the ego can just creep into their minds. Like, who do you think you are? You know what? Everyone knows it's bullshit. Who are
Yeah.
you pretending to be? You're going to get found out. And you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, 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 whoa. We
Yeah.
never speak to other people like that. We're so horrible to ourselves, aren't we? I'm
Yeah.
so horrible to myself. It's terrible. But so you got yourself back on the trucks. Oh, what I wanted to ask you there was, because I've had this with loads of my injuries, and it's sort of like the analogy that I'm thinking about with when you had your, trying to get back into the job and they weren't sure. We have a thing, and I would term the analogy under like a GP as a general practitioner. So they're giving you advice for the general populace.
Yeah.
And when they say, oh, just rest or just whatever, or what I want you to do is walk 10 meters a day, and you're like, like, okay, I appreciate you have to give advice way within the parameters that won't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But with respect, I'm not a normal person. And I'm sure lots of people say that. And we don't inherently try and say that with ego.
No.
But if we're saying, look, you're trying to give me advice so I can get back to normal. I never was normal. There's nothing wrong with being normal. I really don't want to be normal. I would like to perform at my highest possible abilities in a few areas of life. Because I always think, like, when the general population get advice like that, I'm like, what's the Olympic athlete's advice? What advice are they getting from the specialist? What's the Premier League footballer on £1 million a week? What the advice they're being given? Can I have that advice, please?
Yeah.
Because they can clearly do it, and I'm willing to be really, really super serious. And like when I snapped my tendon and my knee, I was like, step up and down on the bottom step backwards 20 times a day. And I was like, well, I'll do that 20 times every 2 hours, shall I? Or I'll do it till it hurts. And little things like that, you're like, doesn't matter how stupid or mundane it is. Tell me what would genuinely be the best thing to do. If you tell me I need to eat onions every 20 minutes, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. And you must eat them raw and they must be taken intravenously. I don't know. I don't care. I'll do it.
Yeah.
But most advice is given to general people. So how did you recover so quick?
Yeah, that, mate, there was a lot of, advice given to me, and like you just said, like that were advice for the general population, a normal stroke survivor that hadn't done the things I'd done prior. And
Yeah.
like you said, I'm aware of what my capabilities are. They're not, unfortunately, and I can't show them that. They only see stroke victim and like what's best to keep me
They get the
safe.
stroke victim template out and go, this
Yeah,
is what you do as a stroke
yeah,
victim.
yeah, yeah. And that was, like I said, really hard to take and accept. I'm having all these naysayers or people advising me not to do strenuous things like just be thankful you're still alive, all that stuff. And I'm like, but you don't know who I am, what makes me tick, and what I'm capable of. Like,
Yeah.
I do, and I want to tap back into that. So it was like, obviously, early doors, I took some advice. I really like slowed down. I started rebuilding slowly. I had a heart monitor on my chest, one on my wrist, and I watched it like an absolute hawk. Doing low level cardio, and like I said, I was doing that. That'd give me some confidence when I finished my session. I'd be like, I didn't have a stroke. I'm still okay. Like that was early doors, like I say. But like every session, I was like, I'm okay, yeah. And then
Yeah.
I get home and plan my next session, and then like I say, like months went by doing that, and I get some tests, and I get a little bit of like, you're doing really well. The tests are going well. It wasn't anything I'd done wrong. It was finally found that it was a birth defect. So again, nothing I'd done wrong. I'm just really unlucky. Birth defect combined with a few small blood clots in my system from somewhere, and like I over caffeinated that day. So I wired my system. I forced these blood clots through the hole. It's like the perfect storm. So like it
Mm.
wasn't that I was
Mm.
like what's the word? It wasn't like I was an elderly person or I had
Yeah.
like a bad. I did have a bad stroke or a stroke. I can't remember where I'm going with this. Sorry.
That's all
Um,
right. So you couldn't think it wasn't like this was a progressive problem that has been recognized over time and you had a chronic condition and you
yeah,
just pushed
yeah,
it too far. It
that's all
wasn't a
right.
chronic thing. This was just an abstract fluke. The
Yeah,
holes aligned accidentally and then the accident slotted right through the middle. I always think of that with like accidents that happen at work.
yeah,
Like, if one accident happens or if one person misses a check, it's probably okay because there's a few other backstops that will get picked up. But if all the holes line up, then it's like, ah. And in this particular scenario, all of the holes lined up for
yeah,
you,
yeah,
and that accident fell straight through the middle of it and really, really hit you in the worst spot. How did you manage to convince your missus of the
yeah.
things you were doing? Because like I always think this is the hardest thing, mate, isn't it? It's the people closest to us.
Yes.
Because I can come back from the doctors as I have done many times and go, oh, the doctor says this, but I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
the
exactly what I do
prescription says
every
take one a
time.
day, but I'm going to take two a day. And
Yeah,
they're like, why are you going to do that, babe? Like, what are you doing? Why don't you listen to the experts? And I'm saying that with genuine respect. They're
yeah.
far more qualified than me. But like when you started to push the envelope, how did you sort of mediate that with the people close to you, with your family, with your missus, with your son? I'm sure he didn't question it too much because again, he wouldn't know, he's very young.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? When she's saying, "Babe, is it worth it?" I mean, why do you need to do it? I get it. You're going to get your job back. Like, okay, you've got your
Yeah.
job back now. Why do we need to push it? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? How did you factor that in, or was she just ride or die, or you know?
No, no, it was really hard at first. As you say, like I'd get this advice off GPs, off people, and she'd be like, just stick with that. But like you just said, we tailor that advice to suit us and our capabilities and what we know we can do with it.
Mhm.
So we do like take that advice with a pinch of salt and add some to it to best
Yeah.
suit us. And like that was
Secret workouts,
yeah,
secret cardio,
yeah. I've
which
always
is
been
not
like that. I've always been like that. Katie knows that. But she was cross at me at times and like didn't want me to do things. Initially, the deal was she'd do it with me. So she'd come to the gym, she'd do a bike ride with me, or we'd go for a slow jog. So she could keep her beady eyes on me. You know what I mean? She didn't want
yeah,
me to go out on my own. Um, and that was our initial deal. And then I
yeah.
got a bit too good for that. I like, I'm fine now.
Keep up,
Like,
bitch. Come on.
yeah, I'm
Let's
bored of
face
that
it.
now. I want a bit more, so I want to go on faster runs. I don't need you like watching me and
Yeah,
following me. And like again, we had another little mini argument, say, because she's scared. Like something bad really happened to me. We didn't have all the answers still initially, and she's you know, on the
Mhm.
doctor's side, like the what if side, like what if this, what
Well,
if that.
she's just in a family
Get
unit
it?
protected side.
Yeah,
She's like, okay, babe, go and do that. Then you lose your job. How are we going to pay for the house?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Why are you being so selfish?
yeah, yeah. It came up. Yeah.
Hard. How do you answer that? Do you know what I mean? It's so hard.
It is, yeah. And like the only way I could do it was like the initial deal, we'd do it together, and then I'd do it like incrementally. I'd go and do a little run, I'd come back and like, see, I'm fine. See, and now I can do this next. And she's like, just slow down, just give it another week or whatever. So it's kind of like that constantly. I'd do a bit, I'd show her that I'm fine, that I did really well. Now I want a bit more and a bit more, and I just got a bit greedy now and again, and it was that on repeat. Yeah.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you in partnership with MSA Safety. Today we have them to thank for the improved firefighter safety through connectivity in their brand new connected firefighter system. At the center of the connected firefighter platform is the MSA M1 SCBA with telemetry. That integrates straight in with the Luna system, which is a wireless all-in-one device creating an independent search and rescue network, providing edge detection, enhanced personal thermal imaging, while simplifying post-scene reporting and data retention. All of this then plugs into the FireGrid system for cloud-based connectivity, real-time information, and data-driven decisions for the incident commander. MSA are truly taking massive strides in the future of improved firefighter safety through connectivity in the brand new MSA connected firefighter platform. Now back to the show. So when do you feel like the game really changed? Because again, you got back operational, and then in your mind were all of the reins up. When was the first time you went upside down again? Because that was,
Yeah,
I
that was a
think,
big
something you
one.
were nervous about, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, because my initial prognosis was that I'd nicked my carotid artery by hyperextending it, which upside down again. What caffeine wired system, so you're under pressure, and then I've gone upside down and really restricted it. So that was the initial prognosis, but it was disputed. But that's kind of what I left with, and I'm like, oh shit.
Mm.
And then like it instilled that fear of being upside down again. So I said on my goals, I think I wrote 6 months of no upside down or to a year. So 6 to 12 months, no upside down. And like we said, I got to the 6 month point. I started feeling decent, you know, like good. Everything coming back. I'm in a good place. I'm not like full lifting capacity yet because again, I was a little bit scared to put my system under that amount of pressure. So I was like 70% lifts, cardio better than it was before because I've been hammering it. And then just the upside down thing niggling away, and I was very scared still.
Mm.
Yeah, and that like I didn't do it. To be fair, I think I stuck to about 8, 9, 10 months, and I had another test because that was the initial prognosis, but it was disputed, and then finally got. I had like 3 bubble echoes on my heart,
Yeah.
where the first one was inconclusive, like they said, a couple of bubbles might have passed through. The second one, similar, like less than 10 bubbles or something. So I had a third one, like a Withenshaw Hospital in Manchester, heart specialist place, and they wired me up, and we did it a few times, and like we can pretty much say there's a hole. It's very small, like really small, but there's a hole in your heart. It wasn't the carotid artery, it was a hole in the heart. We can pretty much give you that. And that was like, oh, that was a little win for me in a way. I was
Yeah.
like, so it wasn't going upside down. It wasn't
Mm.
my carotid artery. It wasn't anything to do with that. So that was like, then I started like trying to get rid of the fear upside down. Like, Zach, it wasn't anything to do with going upside down.
Mm.
So then I started implementing it in my training. Oh, just bits like a few handstand push-ups initially in a workout with some skipping. And again, I'd finish the workout and I'd be like, I'm still alive. I'm all right.
Yeah.
And again, like that on repeat, I'd do a few more upside down stuff, and then started handstand walking again. And I'd finish the workout. I'm like, I'm sound. I'm absolutely
Yeah.
fine. And then it was back in my routine again. Just the fear had been eliminated, so I started pushing that little avenue again, rebuilding that side of it.
So let's look at pushing the avenue. So you've hit us with some. I'm big into stoicism. I always love it. There's a couple of my tattoos relate to it, and I know you've got Amor Fati
Yeah.
tattooed on yourself now as well. Socrates, no man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It's a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Talk to us about this last 12 months where you appear to have just shifted into a whole new gear and seem to be just like, I thought we were all on the same path, and then we turn around and Zach's like 3 fields over to the left, like taking some tremendous strides. Like you really appear to have changed gears, and it's been beautiful to observe as a friend.
Thanks.
Talk to us about this last 12 months. What have you been on with?
Yeah, thanks, man. I think, like you said, if we fast forward into now, this last year, I'd kind of moved completely on from my ordeal, and then I was like, it's time to see what you can do now, mate. You've come through something really traumatic. You're now back up better than you was before, thanks to this. Now let's just see what we can do. Like, put yourself
Because
out
the
there,
clock's
do a
always
few
ticking, isn't
punts.
it? You almost think of that mortality where you're like, well, I'm in my 30s now. I can only
Yeah.
really mess about with this for so much longer, and then natural aging is going to take me out of my prime.
Yeah. So that, like you said, and I did. What was it, Feb? We did strength in depth with the CrossFit Delta Fox 180 project team. So it's like a team of 12 that go down, and like 4 do a workout, and then 8, and then 12. And it's kind of a mixture of things, CrossFit, isn't it? Like we're saying, not
Mhm.
all of you do it all the time. But that was the first one of that year, and we finished fourth, which is really good. Like, I think we're only 2 points off third, which would have been amazing.
So for people, I don't want to assume too much of the listener because people will hear that and they'll
Yeah,
have missed
no
all of
idea
what
what
that
I'm on
means.
about. Yeah.
What is strength in depth? We're not going to do ad nauseum for every single competition, but
Yeah.
just give people an understanding of what sort of thing is involved in a CrossFit competition like that.
Yeah, so strength in depth's a big yearly competition. Like, only the best sort of teams qualify for this event. And you have to do online qualifiers, 3 or 4 as a team, submit them, and then you get invited depending on how well you've done.
Okay.
So it's a big, like, high level comp, my first proper one, kind of, back. And yeah, like, it's things like a heavy lift one time, and then some gymnastics, some handstand walks, some bar
Mhm.
muscle ups. There's a bit of swimming in it. There's some running. Not all at the same time. There's 8, 9, 10 events. So like, one event might be weightlifting, one event might be cardio, the next
Mhm.
might be gymnastics and lifting, and then some stuff is like synchronized as a team as well. A
Does
good
everybody
mix.
have to do each event?
No, so like in a team of 12, like if you've got 2 weaker ones, you can kind of hide them. At some
Yeah.
point, you all have to do something, but not
Yeah.
every single event. Yeah, it's kind of, you get given the
No, what I
events
mean
and
is,
then you
like, I can't
send.
do any of the gymnastics craziness,
Yeah, so
but
we could
some of the
save
lifting
you
and
for like the
certainly
ergs,
some of the
because
cardio stuff I'd be great at. Yeah.
yeah, we'd send you in on the ergs. You're a beast on the ergs, and we'd kind of
Mm.
like send someone else in on the gymnastics. But at some point, you would have to do some gymnastics, like maybe
Yeah.
10 reps or something. So you get a little bit found out, but you can hide, some of your weaknesses.
I probably need to confront that. I'm being a
Yeah,
pussy in that area,
yeah.
honestly.
We
I need to
all
get
are, like you
trapped with you
say, at
for a week
times.
and
Yeah,
just belittle me and just get over myself. But anyway, so that was strength in depth,
yeah.
and you guys, it was a great performance from the team, wasn't it?
Fourth, yeah. Like I said, 2 points off third, which is a little bit bittersweet because we're like, oh, so close. So we're doing it again next year. So hopefully podium next year, and then
Are these people from your gym, or are these just friends that you know, or?
no, yeah, people from the gym, mainly coaches and a few of the better athletes at our gym.
Okay.
That did it last year, yeah. And then after that was with yourself, Saudi Arabia, toughest firefighter alive with the
Yes.
yes, yeah,
Was
UK fire
that was
team.
only of your second firefighter challenge competition, was it? Or
Yeah,
was it your
only my
first?
second one really, and like I said, you and Matt and Kush and Helena, like, it's your baby in it. You train that all the time, and you're amazing at it. And I, like, to be fair, like, CrossFit does translate 100%, and
Yeah.
like, because I'm good at CrossFit, I will be good at things like that. But it's a bit more of a niche, like. Probably need to, if I'm going to do it, I need to spend a bit more time with the hammer, with the hauling, like, just fine tune those things, and I could do a little bit better. But it
I
was
almost
such,
think it's not a big enough thing to master it though. Like when
yeah,
I've had conversations with Jared Johnson, who you met from America, the USA. Jared's got 100 gold medals or something like that, and he's world champion X Y Z.
yeah,
It's a bigger sport in America,
yeah,
but it's not still not really even a sport. Do you know what I mean?
no,
It's something we do
yeah,
once or twice a year, and there is coming more and more competitions coming up next year. But even though I've won a few UK things and a few international things a few times, I still feel like it's not enough for me to focus my training on it because I don't know. It just feels like there's not enough to it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's not
Yeah.
enough there, not enough meat on the bone for me to really get my teeth into it. And I love it and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's something you and many others do on the side of your main focus to it. But nonetheless, you've actually won some medals in that already. Anyway, how was the
Yeah.
Saudi experience?
Amazing, mate. It's such a great experience. Like being out there with yourself and other like-minded people that are like wanting to push the limits of what you can do physically. And
Yeah.
I enjoy being around people like levels you up, doesn't it? And
Yes.
it was such a great experience, and I loved it. Like absolutely
It was
loved it.
surreal, wasn't it? The
Yeah, it was
goddamn money they
amazing.
spent on that thing was just
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it
Oh
was
my
out of this
god,
world, wasn't it? Like it was
it
so
was
cool.
so ridiculous,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah. Just lucky to even
So
be there. Yeah, but it was amazing.
it'll be next year or 2026, isn't it? With the hopefully we'll pick another team and we'll
Yeah,
maybe go back to it. But there's so many savages just coming through the
there is.
ranks now that
Yeah,
it's we don't know
I
who
mean,
that
yeah,
next team's going to be.
definitely.
So that was that. How did you perform in that? Did you remember the rankings at all?
Yeah, 12th overall, like out of close to 300 competitors, I think. We're up there with a lot of international competitors, which I'll take, mate. Like just like we said, I don't
Jesus, yeah.
do these things all the time. I was very happy with that, and
Hmm.
yeah, I put on a decent performance. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and a similar time was a CrossFit Open. So while we were out in Saudi, I had to do two of the open workouts.
Yes, you were, weren't you?
So did them out there, and then when I got back, I had the last one to do. Did that, sent them off. The CrossFit Open, similar to like Strength in Depth, you do online qualifiers and then you submit them, they get judged, and then you get given a place. And I got in that the top 3% in the world, which is again great. Like really happy with that, and it qualified me for the
Yeah.
quarterfinals. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah, buzzing with that. And again, I've done it for 4 years now, the Open, and I've slowly been increasing each time, and that's my best performance. So really happy with that. Qualified for the quarterfinals, but I was ruled out of the quarterfinals because I had the PFO procedure at similar time,
Oh,
like 2 weeks before it. So the small hole in my heart, they were going to try and close it. So it kind of ruled me out of the CrossFit quarterfinals, which is fine. Like because I knew about it, I was fine with accepting that's just how it goes, kind of thing. And it was like probably where my level was at anyway at that time. I was probably done well to get to the quarters. Could I have got to the semis? Maybe not. Like it'd have been tight. Depends on the workouts. The workouts
that's the
suited me.
thing with it. It's such
Yeah,
the sport has such breadth to it
yeah,
that and I think there was a big frustration with a lot of athletes. Was it last year when there was many athletes that got through to the actual CrossFit Open, or the CrossFit Championships, where loads of them bombed out after like day one.
yeah,
What happened there? Just and I've probably described that terribly. And
yeah.
again, we're saying
No,
with respect because lots of them are very fit, but there
yeah.
was something around the selection criteria for that year that made it weird.
Yeah, there was like a dumbbell box step ups, I think it was, on one of the online workouts, and loads of like elite athletes got a load of no reps given to them and didn't make it, for
Mm.
whatever reason. Like these standards were slightly different. And like you said, a lot of people that might not have got through. And that can happen with online qualifiers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of complaints from it, and that hopefully next year they will be better for those
Mm.
elite athletes. But yeah, it happened,
Mm.
and that's what can happen in CrossFit, unfortunately, because it's so like you said, there's so much breadth to it. You
Mm.
can't be a master of one or two. You need to be really good at everything, which is hard, isn't it? Spinning plates,
Yeah.
like trying to get good at everything. But it's what keeps me doing it because I like that.
So after that element, so missing out on that due to the upcoming surgery, what was the
Yeah.
outcome of the surgery?
Uh, Unsuccessful. So we kind of discussed the hole's tiny, so small, and she'd actually gone in my femoral artery. I was sedated, so I was awake like while she was doing it. Could see my foreign chambers of my heart on the screen, like beating away, and she were in there prodding around. After about 10 minutes, she apologised to me. Said, "I can't find this hole, Zach. I'm sorry." And I said, "Kind of." Yeah, I said it kind of is what it is. Like, don't get me wrong, I kind of preempted this because we knew it was so small. They wanted to do the procedure anyway because I was young and I'd had a stroke. They were like, we want to try and close this hole, but it's tiny, might be unsuccessful. So I was given that information already. So I was more than fine with it. And so she come out, stitched me up, and it was a case of just waiting for the artery stitches to heal because he'd gone in like my main artery. I couldn't just
Hmm.
go straight back to training. I had to give that like
Hmm.
2 weeks. Um, I think she said 4 weeks, but like we said before, I kind of half everything they say. And also,
Calibrated that. So maybe
yeah,
tomorrow-ish then. Like
yeah,
tomorrow night. Tomorrow, not tomorrow morning, tomorrow
yeah,
night.
tailor it to me. But I didn't go straight back to lifting again. It was cardio for a bit and then slowly build my lifting back in. So minor setback really in the grand scheme of things compared to what I've been through. It was only minor, and in a
Yeah.
good way. Like because they couldn't do anything. She said it could be that the hole's tiny or there's a flap over it, say, and we just can't expose it. So was what it
Mm.
was, but it was good in a way that I just stay on clopidogrel, blood thinners to prevent clots, and she said on them it won't happen again. Less than 2%, touch wood, and that was good news for me. I took it well. I was like, sound perfect. As soon as this stitches healed, back on it, kind of
Mm.
thing, and that's what I did. And then, like I said, slowly rebuilt. Minor compared to the stroke initially, so I was already had the tools I needed to fix and get back quickly this time, which I
Yeah.
did. And that took me to like what was next? Yeah, sorry. Then I spent like 3 months rebuilding, but I was fine, like I said, cardio wise. And then it was more of a strength cycle. So let's see what I can do strength wise, because that in CrossFit terms, like I'm a good runner, I'm fit, I'm able to suffer for 10, 20 minutes at a high heart rate workload, but my strength is lacking and I need to kind of address that. If I'm going to do what I want to do in the CrossFit space, I need to add some kilos to my lift. So that was kind of my 3 month goal. And PB, my clean and jerk, snatch, and front squat, which is what I was focusing on because, again, they're more weaker elements for me in the CrossFit space, which was great. And then it was June time, Welsh Firefighter Challenge,
Yeah.
and it's always around
Where
my
did that
birthday.
come from? Because I was surprised to see you go and do that.
Yeah, it's always around my birthday. That so I like me, Mrs. and little lad. We make a trip of it. We go to Wales for like a long weekend, and it's just a day in it. So I do that for a day, but then we spend the rest of the weekend doing birthday stuff and wandering around
Mm.
Wales. And it's June time, so it's always dead sunny and nice. So it has been the last couple of years. And I think I finished third in my age group, which again
Hmm.
I'll take, which is meant like I go more for the day out and spend time with
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
and other like-minded people. But on 3, 2, 1, go, I want to win or I want to
Yeah,
do
I'm
really
not
well.
messing about here.
I can't help that.
Yeah. I'm
That's
not here to take part. I'm here to
yeah,
take over,
it's
baby.
in me, mate. I can't help that. Like, even though I
Yeah,
go for fun, on 3, 2, 1, go, I'm all in,
yeah,
and I'll do the best I can. So yeah, third, really happy with that. Again, to say it's not like my sole focus,
yeah,
which was mint. And then after that, Reynolds, quite a decent level CrossFit competition. Pers with a guy called Matt Adamson.
yes.
He's very good at CrossFit. Probably the opposite to me in CrossFit. He's
Very
strong.
handsome, isn't he?
Yeah, very handsome boy.
He's a very handsome fella. I just
Yeah,
saw he's
yeah,
got a new sponsorship with somebody.
yeah. Rebel UK, I think.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
clothing company or something.
yeah,
Really
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
He looks
yeah.
a really
Cool.
nice, cheerful, happy, smiley bloke.
Yeah, he's a top bloke, mate, and he's like we make a good team because he's super strong, man. He's a
Yeah.
strong, strong boy, and he makes up for what I'm lacking slightly in strength, and then conversely, I'm fit and I make up for where he's slightly lacking. So like as a team, we are like really good,
Mm.
and we won it. Like we won overall against a stacked field as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we won and we're buzzing with that, mate. Like absolutely buzzing.
Are
And
you boys
then
going to do some more stuff together? You seem like a very good pair.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah, we are like I said, we complement each other in a way, and we've got a
Is
couple
he
more.
local to you, or how did you meet him?
He trained at my gym for a little while, and we had that like friendly competitiveness in workouts, and we got friendly. And like I said, he's a top bloke, like, and I like
Mm.
being around people like that level you up. He's slightly better than me
Yeah.
at X, Y, Z, so I want to spend time with him doing X, Y, Z, so I get better, and vice versa. So yeah, it made a
What
good
does he
little
do as a
friendship.
job? Not to get too personal into Matt, but
Well,
what does he do?
I think he's
What's his
like
job?
a plumber or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Plumber, Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. He applied for the fire service last time because he'd been minted it, and he just missed out. He got to interview and missed out, which is gutted for him. But next
It's
time,
ridiculous when you see people like that miss out, isn't it?
he'd
You're
be
just like,
perfect.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. He'd be so good at the job, mate. And he's
I
like
know.
we say, he's a top bloke. But he's going to apply again, and hopefully next time it'll be his. But yeah, so we did ethics together in Birmingham a couple of months ago now, and we won that as well. Again, because we're such a good partnership. We're very good at CrossFit. And ethics kind of leans on CrossFit more than High Rocks does. There's a bit of engine
Yeah.
work in the middle, like you need to be decent at running, rowing, cycling, but the strength portion and the metcon at the end especially, like we were flying on the end one.
I think Athex was one of my favourites because it's one of the really interesting functional fitness style competitions, but doesn't have any of the gymnastics in it.
Yeah,
It's obviously
it's
about
accessible,
enjoy.
isn't it? Yeah,
So it's a lot of grunt work,
yeah,
which I really like.
yeah. Yeah, there's no like hindering factor really, is it? It's accessible for everyone. I really like it, mate. It's kind of the bridge between High Rocks and CrossFit, isn't it? It's now you need to be
I
strong
don't
as
think it's
well.
very big though, is it? With respect to the
No,
Athex lot,
yeah, I
don't
agree.
seem to
When I
have
got
much
there,
funding or stuff.
yeah, maybe it's still in its infancy and
Yeah,
funding maybe, but I think it's got potential. Like it was such a good event,
yeah.
and yeah, hopefully it does take off because it is like a really cool event. Like I said, me and Matt
What do you
won
win
that.
when you win something like that?
Initially, we won, and you just get like a pat on the back kind of thing. But this one,
Yeah, I didn't see them giving out any prizes.
no, not on that. And I think there was like that one Birmingham. There's one in Glasgow, London, Liverpool, and a few other places. But then the top 5% of each of those get invited to a finals, which is in December at FitFest. So we're going to that. I think the winner of that will get a good prize. I think that's your prize from winning that event. You're now invited to the big one against all the best people.
That might be a conflict for you though, will it? Because
How?
FitFest also hosts a few other competitions you're probably doing.
Yes. So like, yeah. It's not
Oh,
ideal.
sorry, I also came first in that one and
Yeah.
second in that one. So like,
No. So like, obviously, I'm doing ethics, and I think I've been asked to do a SID triple threat team, masters team. And I think hopefully that if it works out how I expect, and I've been told it works out. We do ethics on the Friday, and then I get Saturday off, and then Sunday is this triple threat strength in depth. So I might get 1 day rest, and we'll see. Hopefully, I'm not too tired.
Jesus.
But
okay,
I would
take
never do
advice.
that
We had
usually.
Athex. Yeah.
Because it's not ideal, but I'm there. I love CrossFit, so
100%.
and it's a team of three, so it's slightly different. It's not all on me. I can lean on them to hopefully a bit, let them take some of the
Is it a
work.
mixed team? Is it all blokes or?
All blokes, so same, and there'll be all females teams of three as well. I think it's like it's a big
Who do you
event.
intend to do that one with?
A guy called Mike Holmes. It were him that asked me. He finished second in my beta, and he tapped me up about it. He said, "Look, if I get another bloke, would you do a team of three?" And I'm like, "Yes." I said, "But I've got ethics finals like that same week," and they were like, and he were the one that said, "Well, you might get a day rest in between." I said, "If you're happy to have a depleted me and take some more work, I'll do it." So yeah,
Hell of a complimentary position to be in. So.
yeah.
It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefighters podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. But here's the honest truth. It takes a colossal amount of time, resources, the team, and work to keep the podcast going. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, improve the visuals, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. Now, by joining this, you'll not only support the future of the podcast, but also gain access to exclusive benefits. Now, if you've ever wanted to meet a member of the podcast, buy us a beer, buy us a coffee, and you think anything you've ever listened to on the podcast has been worth £3, that's basically what we're asking you for. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behavior, firefighter health, cancer risks, instant debriefs, and so much more. a growing collection of valuable resources to help you learn and grow. Now, I've only ever featured 200 episodes of the podcast on every free public available platform. You won't find the entire library because it is inside our Patreon. That is the full library legacy, and that is what you're joining for as well. So by joining the Patreon for just £3, you'll unlock everything we've ever created alongside discounts on merch like our coins, our hoodies, our patches, our tallies, and all the other stuff we're trying to crack on with doing on the podcast. Your support in whatever way, dropping it in the WhatsApp group, sharing it on the local newsletter, whatever it is, it's incredibly valuable and we really do support it. And we need it to make it a long-lasting resource, that legacy resource we always talk about for first responders, firefighters, and everybody everywhere who's ever been interested in joining the fire service or who absolutely loves the job. Now, if you're already supporting something, as many people do, it's totally cool. You can still access the podcast for free, and you'll always be able to access all the new episodes for free. But we're asking for your help to make this sustainable. You can still listen, you can still join, you can still share it with your community. And if you want to do something free, follow us on our YouTube, subscribe to it, rate us on Spotify, whatever platform you listen to. We've reached nearly 1 million people with the podcast so far, which is just ridiculous. And we want to keep growing, we want to keep sharing the insights, and we want to keep showcasing the incredible work happening in our community and our sector every single day. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. We'll see you on the other side. We had the Athex. What do we have after that?
Bit of a break. So I went on a family holiday to Turkey, which was nice. I still trained out there. Still keep my training up, but relax. No comps.
Did you go to Dalaman?
No, where did I go? It was close to Dalaman. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, because I came back only a week or so ago, and I was saying to my missus when I was out there, I was like, I think this is where Zac went, but I couldn't remember. But anyway.
I think I'd spent a day there because it wasn't far from where I was. Hopefully the name comes back to me. I can't remember. But yeah, it was a nice time. Good weather. And I had more bigger championships in the pipeline. So it was nice to be abroad in heat. I did a bit of swimming, running, kind of like had that goal coming up.
Bit of conditioning, yeah.
Yeah, while I'm here.
Where did the Marbella thing come from? How do you... Here's a tough one because there's so many competitions bouncing around these days. I saw another one, the Dirty Dozen. Have you heard of that one? Yeah, that looks really interesting. I might fancy a bit of that for next year.
Yeah.
But like, where do you hear from all of these? Because you don't want to turn up to one of them and it end up being a bit rubbish. And then you're like, oh, I've kind of trained for this. It wasn't really well organised, wasn't well funded. Like, what's the in for this? Because there seems to be so many competitions and you could end up spending a lot of money. There's an aspect of money in this as well.
Yeah, there is, mate. Yeah, like you said, there's so many out there now. I think initially, like for myself, when I was new to CrossFit, it's a little bit of trial and error. You do a comp and you're like, oh, that was good, or that wasn't what I expected. But now I've like, especially on socials, you see the bigger competitions get advertised early and you've got to qualify for them. So that's an indication that if you're having to qualify for this and do online qualifiers, it's a good high level competition.
I do always think that, even with respect to me doing the first High Rocks, people are like, I'm a High Rocks finisher. And you're like, how many people don't finish it?
Yeah.
Well, everybody finishes it. Yeah. Even if it takes you 3 hours, it's kind of like a bit of an attendance certificate with respect.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, if you have to qualify for it, that's a green light for you.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And like I said, I've been in CrossFit like 4 years now, so I've done the trial and error phase and I kind of know the harder competitions. But like you said, there's so many, so you have to kind of choose 3 to 4 a year. I like having 3-month gaps in between, so I'll do a competition, see where I'm at, and then I have 3 months to fix my weaknesses or close some holes for the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one.
Why 3 months?
I think it's a good, it's usually like a 12-week cycle, isn't it? We do in fitness terms, like a 12-week structured plan, working on weaknesses or goals for that next comp. So on my last comp, let's say my snatch wasn't good enough, my gymnastics under fatigue wasn't quite good enough. So now I'm going to spend 12 weeks working on them things. So next time I can retest, that kind of.
So how do you develop a program for that?
Initially, like I said, when I first started CrossFit, it was a class program and I followed that. And it's really good to get you from like foundation level up to good, like RX intermediate. And then after that, I kind of used the program and I had my eyes on like team training, JST, CrossFit itself, and I'd look at what they're programming and take what I'm bad at. So I'm like, I'm gonna have that, that, and that. I'm bad at all them things. And like I said before, I don't mind working on what I'm rubbish at because I
Mm.
need to, because that's what I want to do. So one day I'm going to be really good. So I kind of just
Mm.
did that for like a year, and then this July I fully invested in team training programming. Like I
Okay.
said, I had my eye on them for a while. Very good programming. They recently sent two people to the games. And Will Kane is kind of a big part of it. He won Marbella last year, and he got to the games in the my age category. So they've
So what does their programming look like? Because again, people will look at this and they'll go, well, when you think about development or performance, you can go faster, or you can do the same thing in a shorter time. You can do the same thing for longer at a certain level. You obviously lifting, you can get progressively stronger, but stagnating is a very difficult thing for people to move past. And then I'm just going to
yeah.
do the same German volume training. I'm just going to do the same 10-10 block that I did before, but I don't seem to be making any progress. And the problem with the body is whatever load you place on it, it can adapt to it so well. So do you have a standard 2 or 3 like strength programs that you run through, or if I like wanted to increase my VO2 max, or my endurance or whatever, like I know it's difficult to try and ask you to articulate one of them, but like maybe start with strength. But you said you worked on your snatch, like what would that look like?
Team training offer like all different ones depending on your goals. Like they have a strength specific one, engine specific, gymnastic specific. I'm on the CrossFit signature one, like competitive CrossFit athlete. So it's a mixture of all of them. But like when I were doing just strength, like you say, it was front squats minimum once a week, percentages, and it'd be jerks off the blocks, jerks off the rack, pulling off, jerks after front squats, see it under fatigue, and then snatch work could be like heavy snatch pulls, dialing in my technique on the heavier bottom half of the snatch and then top half of the snatch. You break it all down, don't you, into sections, and then
Mm.
overhead squat, the last part of the snatch. And it was just if you do that consistently, I think the big one is like you're not jumping from program to program. If you're going to pick one, pick a good one and just stick at it for 12 weeks, consistently. It's hard to do if you
That's
don't see
hard. Yeah, it
progress
is
straight
hard.
away because that's the thing.
When
Like
I
you
get into
never,
a program, though, sometimes I worry that the person doesn't know enough about where I'm currently at, and
yeah.
they sometimes do you ever start a program and you're like, oh God, I feel like I haven't done enough in that workout, but it says that's all I need to do.
Yeah, it's happened
How
to
do
me
you
often.
discipline
Yeah,
yourself to
especially
that?
like you said. Yeah, I'm better at it now. Like I'm on a structured program now, but before I'd do the class program and I'd be like, I need to do another session now because that wasn't
Yeah,
enough. But you can overtrain as well, can't you? And again, a little bit of trial and error, and learning about yourself and what works. That takes time, doesn't it? Like I've done that now. I've done that phase where I'm like I've overtrained and I've worked on stuff so much that I'm not getting any better and I plateaued,
yeah,
and I've kind of learned those lessons and then like I said I started to plateau. I've done the best I could do and I'm like right I need some proper good programming. I'll just follow it and it's working for me. It is because I'm just consistently doing it. Like I'm kind of taking my mind out of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm flexible with it, so I still, if I'm at work, I have to move the days around because on shift's a bit different in it. We
yeah.
only get we only get an hour we can turn out, so I kind of move my day around. So it's a 40-minute session when I'm at work, and if I turn out, it's not going to be detrimental, kind of thing. So there is
How do you know
still,
when you overtrained? You said you felt like you'd overtrained in the past. What would that feel like if you tried to try and
yeah,
describe it to somebody? Because I don't know when enough is enough sometimes, even though I've done it for God knows how long. Because there's
yeah,
also, like you say, it's that thing in my head where I feel like lazy. I feel like, well, I'm not really even that knackered today, and
yeah,
today's supposed to be a rest day, so maybe I'll just go and do a recovery workout, and I'll just spin on a bike for an hour, and then you
yeah,
go, but that's just junk training. That's junk. You're
yeah,
you're losing capability here. You're taking, energy out of the bucket for no real return on investment. But of course, I say, oh, but there is a return on investment because I'm still getting fitter. Yeah, but you're not though.
yeah.
Like how do you know when you've overtrained? How do you know when enough is enough?
I think it's hard, isn't it? Like you say, it is hard to identify, but you'll get indicators. So like you'll feel fatigued going to the gym, or you'll wake up sore and tired, and you start losing motivation to train. And then when you are at the gym, percentage stuff that should feel good doesn't feel good. You're
Okay.
doing your lifts, and you're like, this feels heavier than it should. You know,
Yeah.
you're training on fatigue. Everything feels heavier. Your body isn't doing what it usually does. When you feel good, when you're firing, things feel lighter. Things are moving slick. And if
Mm.
you're not feeling like that, you're probably training on fatigue.
Okay.
And that's a good indicator. Yeah,
So typically in a week, how many sessions do you think you do?
6 a week. Sometimes
Six
seven.
sessions or 6 days?
6 days. Well, yeah, 6 sessions, 6 days. They're like 90-minute sessions now that I do.
Okay.
So it's like a long session, which might have like 2 or 3 workouts in one session. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So if I wanted to split it up, 45 minutes to an hour, and then do another later, I could do. But with school run,
Hmm.
I've got 9 till 3 window to get all my stuff in. So I do my 90 minutes, 2 hour session, everything in there. So I'll do part of it, have a little rest, drink, eat a banana, then I'll do the second part or whatever it is. But when I'm at the gym, I'm staying at the gym till I'm done, and then I go home, I stretch, I ice bath, and then eat, shower, time to get little lad from school, kind of thing.
When you see some of these pro athletes and they look like they're, training twice a day every day, they're probably not, but like twice a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah,
What's going on there?
I think some of the pros, mate, are like some of them are, and they're able to do that because that's the full-time job. So they've got that time. So
Yeah, but
I,
even if they've got that time, surely they've got to be fatiguing. They've got to be overtraining, unless they're
yeah,
they're all taking some serious substances that help their body recover quicker than anybody else's. I
yeah,
mean, we're not going to get into that conversation as such, although it does raise itself in professional sport quite a lot at the minute. Like, I think that is what makes a lot of amateur athletes, and I'll include myself in that, do too much because we hold ourselves to the same level and go, well, that's what they do. I need to do that. But my body can't take that because I also work a full-time job and my diet's good, but it's not perfect. My rest is good, but it's not perfect. Many of my habits don't align to theirs. And I'm probably also not taking the same level of supplements. I don't have the same level of body care. But then I also hear myself say those things and go, you're just making excuses. You're being a bitch.
yeah. I'm like really similar conversations with myself sometimes. Like I said before, I'd found this program and I was finding myself doing double sessions in a day, but I couldn't sustain that. Then, like I said, eventually I like training tired, sore, aching all the time. Like I can't keep this up. I'm older. I've got family, work, like you say, but it's their job, and their like nutrition is so dialed in. The supplements are so dialed in. They've got like doctors and coaches, trainers, giving them the best advice on how to be able to train twice a day or 8 hours a day or
Mhm.
whatever it is. And like, I'm not, they probably don't do it all the time. Like they'll come off it for a little while or whatever, but they've probably built that up as well over time. So they've probably gone from 2 sessions to 1 hour sessions to
Yeah.
two 90-minute sessions. So the body is starting to like acclimatize to that, so to speak. But
Yeah.
that being said, like, is there performance enhancing drugs involved? Like, I'm of the impression there's not, but I'm maybe a bit naive because I will never do that. I don't want to. I want to see what I can do
Mhm.
naturally, and like because I look up to them and I want to be where they are competing. I hope they're not doing it, kind of thing. But
If you acknowledge it, it closes the door on your ability to ever
yeah,
do it, and
yeah,
then it'll
yeah.
also it'll discourage you because you'll go, well, there's no point because I can
Can't
never do it.
compete with people like that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but who knows if they are or not? It's hard to say. But it is tested, and some fail and they get
Yeah.
wiped out. Some pass and they're doing amazing. So, like, there's hope that there isn't. But like you say, another
Do you think
conversation.
if you fail a test, you should be banned for life?
Some
Ooh,
people,
controversial. Come on, let's get into. Let me take you into a controversial question. Who's that lad who came second or third or something like that, and he's just got back in, hasn't he?
Ricky Garrard, yeah,
Yeah, and his brother as well.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and he's
Jesus Christ!
yeah, like you say, he's elite level. He's third, second, first sometimes, depending on the
Yeah.
comp. And he got found taking performance enhancing drugs and banned for 4 years. My initial reaction would be, "You're done." But like the other side of it is people make mistakes. You know, they fall into that trap where everyone else is on it, so I want to be on it. And you kind of need to accept that if they're willing to accept it was a mistake, and now they're going to test and prove that they're natural. Can we give them a
Yeah,
second
yeah, but are
chance?
you ever again? Like, and I'd say this total transparency. You know me. I've got a history of taking a lot of drugs. I took
Yeah.
steroids when I was doing strongman and all this sort of stuff. And I know I've lost like 7 stone, but my body will always look a little bit roidy because it was like an overinflated balloon once.
Yeah.
And there's an argument for, will it ever be? Could you ever, even though you're not taking anything now,
Yeah.
but you did? So has
It's
that
giving
given
you
you a
that
thing?
extra back then. Is it
I
still
don't
there?
know,
Yeah,
and I
it's
don't know
hard to
enough
say,
about the
isn't it?
science. So it's
Yeah.
all right for him to say, yeah, well, that was a mistake. And you're right, we should forgive people for their mistakes.
Yeah.
But have you still got an advantage? I don't know enough about the science. I really don't know.
Well,
He might
same
have a
here.
disadvantage because he's like, my testosterone stores are smashed, and like I've had issues with all sorts of physical problems because my testosterone's ruined. But I don't know. You know, some
Yeah.
people are like, no, that's it. You're done. You cheated. You're a liar. Game over forever.
Yeah.
But I really don't know. But obviously he's back, so
Yeah.
that's the way
And
the rules
thriving,
are.
doing amazing, yeah. And it
Some
is
people hate him, though,
tested,
don't they?
so
Some people hate him. They're just like,
they
just
do,
don't even
yeah.
acknowledge
Some
him at
people have that
competition.
mindset they once a cheat, always a cheat, but
I
like
know.
he'd had 4 years out, hadn't he? So he's paid a price.
Yeah.
Can we forgive him now? I'm kind of like on the fence. Sometimes like, no, you're done, but other times like, no, if you can prove you're clean now and you're
As
still
long as
very
you don't
good.
win.
Yeah, no, like, if he wins, great. Like it's up to him.
Oh, well, mate, if he wins, though, that's the problem. If he wins,
Yeah, there's
no
still
one
other
will ever
people,
give
isn't
it
there?
to him. They'll just go, oh, well, yeah, because of that. He's almost like it's always going to be a
Yeah.
hollow victory now, I feel.
Yeah, in some people's minds potentially, but like it'd be interesting to ask the competitors won it against him, what their thoughts are on it, like when they're competing against him, if he does beat them on workouts, where their heads at with it. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I bet a lot of them, because they're trying to keep their sponsors and be professional, they would, but I'll bet in the back rooms, they're just like, cheat. You know what I mean? Won't even acknowledge him. He's a ghost, dead to me.
yeah,
It's like, oh Jesus Christ, ruthless. But you're at the highest level of, and there's a lot of money
there
involved with
is,
that
mate,
game.
so much money,
There's a
isn't
lot of
there?
money involved. There's a lot of sponsorship involved. There's a lot going on at that level.
Yeah, there is.
I interrupted you. So we were talking about a 12-week strength cycle as an example,
Yeah,
or a 12-week. Did you say team training app is what you use?
yeah, that's what I'm on at the minute, and that's what
How much is that?
it's only £20 a month, which again is another reason what.
Not bad, is it?
Yeah, yeah, which is another reason what got me onto it because it's affordable. For a family man that has a job and a kid and a house to run. Good price. You can pay a bit more, 40 quid I think it is, and get like one-to-one coaching feedback. Get more for your money. But I just wanted the structured programs. Like I'm kind of happy that
Yeah.
I won't half-arse it. If I'm doing it, it'll be full on. Like I won't. Do you know what I mean?
And also, you're diligent enough that if you have got a problem with your snatch, your clean, your whatever, there's honestly a million free YouTube videos
Yeah.
if you're willing to spend the time to learn the thing properly. I mean, a
Yeah.
one-to-one coach is invaluable. If it's all about, if you don't want to put in more time, then get a coach,
Yeah.
because they'll shortcut a lot of, theoretically, if they're a good coach,
Yeah.
they'll shortcut a lot of it for you. But it is also available for free if you want to go and find the stuff out.
Yeah, yeah. On that, like similar time to when I started investing in the programming, I were looking for a Olympic lifting coach, and I had two friends at the gym that used this bloke called Mac Middleton at Adlington Barbell Club, just in Chorley, so half an hour from me. And I was looking at his page, and he's a big, strong boy, man. I was like, okay, I'll message him, see what I think, see if he can help me. Tell him that, look, this is where I'm at. I've kind of plateaued. I want to break through this plateau. I think you're the man. Can we come and do a session? So I've seen him once fortnightly now because otherwise it get too expensive. But I see him
Yeah.
fortnightly for snatch and clean and jerk, and it's working. Slowly, I think.
It's obviously working.
Yeah,
You've had some big strength
I
gains.
have, mate. Yeah, and it's never gonna be like instant. Like you kind of have to accept that it's a path I'm on now. So I've sought this guy's help, Mac, and he's so good. Like, but he's aware, and I'm aware that it's not gonna be overnight. We had to reset my snatch starting position, some fine tuning because I'm not the most mobile, but I am stretching it.
I was about to say, is there just some physical limitations for certain people? In like I had to work on my wrist and lat mobility for ages just to get in that front rack position, because I'd always squatted like that
Yeah.
when I was front squatting as a strongman.
Yeah.
I'd never had to get into that sort of inverted position, and that, just like you say, physical range of movement and mobility for people can be a massive blocker.
Yeah, and it was for me. Like my first year of CrossFit, like you said, I couldn't hardly catch the ball like that. So then the other me were like, you need to fix this, mate. So I've ever like for the last 3 years now, I stretch every day, mainly focusing on lats, hips, so I can get in those positions. And it is like I said, it's been 3 years. It's paying off now that I did it all them years ago. Whereas like 6 months, a year, minimal progress, still in pain in that position. But 2.5 years, 3 years down the line, I'm like, oh, I can actually get up here now, kind of thing. And I'm
Yeah. I can get up there fine, but then it's catching it again if I'm trying to do repeated reps.
yeah,
Oh, catching 100, 110, 120 kilos from above the head back into that front rack position. I just keep
yeah.
smashing my goddamn collarbone. It's so annoying. I'm
I
just
bet,
done
yeah.
with it. I'm bored. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know I'm doing something wrong. I've got big enough shoulders to catch it on. I'm just catching it wrong.
yeah, yeah. And if you
And I
do
probably
catch
don't have
it
enough
wrong,
patience.
yeah, if you are catching it wrong, it hurts, doesn't it? Or you
It
can't,
hurts.
yeah,
Fuck,
it
yes.
hurts. You can't quite do as much as often, and it kind of is mobility, like technique as well. So when it's coming down, you kind of need to move your body down with it as well and give it a little cushion. Minor
Yeah,
things will
bounce it,
help.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's minor things in it, and they all add up. And that's why I got in touch with that weightlifting coach. And
The team here at the podcast are extremely excited to announce our brand new partnership with Patrol Store UK. Patrol Store has been serving the UK's police, fire and emergency communities and first responder sector since 2008, providing leading brands such as Hikes, Magnum, 511, Nebo, Op Zulu, Highlander, AKU and many, many more of our favourites. They are now also supplying bespoke uniform, PPE and station workwear to fire services around the UK. So for all our listeners that are part of your USAR, your HEART team, your ISAR team, your armed response teams, your fire investigation, your NALO, your HAZMAT and all of the training departments that have got your own budgets, be sure to get the absolute best for your team at a realistic price by contacting Aaron and the team at Patrol Store and referencing the Firefighters podcast. Patrol Store will also be taking part in our listener competition giveaways as well as providing unique discounts to podcast listeners. So for people that are always asking about Hikes boots as an example, that is one unique discount code that is coming to you very soon through Patrol Store. We've also got some incredible bags. I mean, the Op Zulu bags are a game changer. So you know the really Gucci and expensive tactical black bags that everyone's using in CrossFit workouts and taking to the gym and taking to stations? Well, they've basically got that, but it's made better and costs less, because they're not slapping some Gucci expensive brand name on it and it's giving you what you want on a first responder salary. Be sure to keep your eyes in the notes of the episodes for links to unique offers and discount codes. And if you're looking to buy well and buy once, be sure to get in the notes and head over to Patrol Store UK. Now back to the show. Who's the guy? Who's the sunny guy on social media? What's his name?
oh, Sonny Webster, Olympic lifter. Mate,
Yeah.
he's a beast.
He's very impressive.
Wow, yeah. He's
He
very,
doesn't look very strong, does he?
no,
But he is so strong.
so strong, mate. I think he can clean and jerk like 180, 190.
No, it's
Ridiculous.
massive, isn't it? But like, he's so fluid with that bar.
Yeah,
It's just, I don't know. He is an Olympic lifter by trade. He's
yeah,
he's won. I don't know how many Olympics he's won, but whatever. But yeah, I look at things like that, and it really is a skill.
yeah,
Like that is why I think like when I came from strongman world, you could just bully the weight
yeah,
because it was lifting stones and things like you're just bullying it.
yeah.
But with this, it's such a skill.
It is, man.
It's like darts or archery or something, except you're doing it with big dire consequences of the
Yeah,
heavy ass barbell.
yeah,
But yeah, he's very impressive when you see some of his complex sort of routines or the flow that he goes through, where he
yeah.
has like I forget what he calls them, but he does 7 or 8 things in a
Yeah,
row. And
barbell
you're just
complex.
like, wow,
Yeah, he's throwing
yeah,
around 150, 160, moving around the bar like amazing, like making it look light, and it's not light, it's heavy.
no.
It's crazy in what he can do.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about, if we jump back for a second, was around good social media follows.
Yeah,
Like people that you have looked at. I mean, we obviously referenced one there, but like places you've taken. If people, I mean, there might be people that jump straight into this team training app and go straight for that, which is maybe a good solution. But like, what's some people you have found useful to follow that is sort of giving you maybe that inspiration, but also good insight and sort of helped you develop?
yeah. Team training one. Will Kane from team training. Good level CrossFit athlete. Sonny Webster we mentioned. Olympic lifting side of things. Mac Middleton. I mentioned his weightlifting side, and then CrossFit. Like any CrossFit athlete, like especially the higher level ones, are quite loud on social media. So like Noah Olsen, Ricky Garrard. There's loads in there out there, and I follow all them. And obviously, yeah, from CrossFit Delta Fox, I follow them, and then they follow CrossFit pages, and it's constantly on your algorithm, isn't it? And kind of just
Yeah.
build from there. And then fire service wise, yourself, Helena, Adams,
Mhm.
people like that. Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever thought of doing any sponsorships or partnerships with people? I'm astonished you haven't, because it also led me. I wanted to ask you about what's the emergency services version of CrossFit you were looking at?
Oh yeah, like we were looking at doing strength in depth with a fire service team. Not the easiest, like logistically, to try and organise because we almost did it
Mm,
last year. But it's try you've got to have like a certain amount of masters athletes within like 30 to 40 age group. You've got to have like at least four females and then seven or eight males, something like that. It's hard to get those people that do CrossFit and are actually good enough to qualify.
yeah.
So I think that's why it kind of fell through last year. So yeah.
Didn't you say there was also an emergency services side to the actual CrossFit Games though?
Uh, Oh well, yeah. The CrossFit Games itself do emergency services competition like extra add-on. So like when you do the Open and you qualify, like I said, I qualify for quarterfinals. You like if you're in emergency service, you tell them either fire service, army, police,
Mhm.
and you get invited to like the emergency services games version. It's all online. So
Oh, is
yeah,
it? That's a
yeah,
shame.
it'd be better in person, wouldn't it? I think hopefully one day it would be. So yeah, qualified for
I
that.
think the public could get behind
Yeah,
that
definitely. Yeah,
because there's a guy we had on a couple of years ago, Matt Chan.
yeah,
He came second or third to Rich Froning a number of years ago, and he's a firefighter in
yeah,
America.
yeah, yeah.
And I thought, like, people, especially Americans, they love the
You do.
military and the service. They love getting behind their first responders. Like, I'm surprised they haven't tried to leverage
Yeah,
that
there's got to be a market for it, hasn't
for
there? Like you say. Yeah,
massive
yeah,
market. People would love to come and cheer for first
yeah,
responders.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I
Well,
mean?
like I said, there is.
So how did you get on that? How come you didn't win
I
that?
didn't. I again the PFO procedure. It kind of fell.
Oh,
It kind of ruled that out as well. So
because that's another thing. To be fair, like you might do
I
very well
know.
in
Yeah,
that. To be
it's
fair.
on my list, mate. It's on my list. Yeah, like I said, that ruled out, but I had a few things. I had ethics, Marbella, a few other things in the pipeline to focus on, like within range of my recovery time, kind of thing.
How much do you think you spend a month on programming, gym instruction, induction, uh, supplements, stuff like? What's the supplement range that you take at the minute?
Uh, I take electrolyte every morning, first thing. I take creatine daily, 3 grams to 5 grams, usually 3 grams daily.
Take us into brands if you could, and we're not trying to look for any. Well, we'll just say who it is and what it is because there's like of all of these things, there's many
There is,
variations
mate.
they could
Yeah,
get.
there's laws in there. I were on applied nutrition. I did them for a bit,
Yep.
which are really good. At the minute, I'm on Fisher Nutrition. I think they're quite an up and coming one. They've approached me to like be an ambassador. So I'm on with them at the minute, and it seems really good. Like good stuff, good value for money. So like I say, creatine every day. I take a protein shake daily, and I also take
Just one.
yeah, well sometimes two, depending on how it's falling in the day.
Do you have a protein
I
target?
kind of just go with the is it double your pounding body weight? Is it? What's the
Yeah, it should
ratio?
be 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight.
Yeah, I go for that. That's my target. And that's not just shakes, that's like a
So what
shake.
are you, 95 kilos?
No, 86. 86.
Yeah, you're
Lean.
a dense,
Lean.
fucking little breed dog. So you're looking at 160, 170 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
You're probably getting 40 grams in a protein shake. So what's making up the rest of the day? Because it's hard to hit the target. I think I
It's
actually miss it a lot.
yeah, yeah, it is, mate. So I have 2 or 3 eggs a day, like either poached on toast in the morning or scrambled egg at dinner. Um, Good protein source at meal time, like chicken breast or tuna or
Yeah.
salmon, those types of things. Trying to get it in my food as well.
Mhm.
And like if I feel like I haven't had the meat source, that's where a second protein shake on an evening might come in.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So we've got creatine, we've got electrolytes, you've
protein.
got standard meals. What else are you having?
I have magnesium every night. And that's just like to aid your sleep. It gets you in a deeper sleep. It aids recovery. And again, when you're training like quite intense, 6, 7 days a week, 7 times a week, you need good recovery, good sleep. 7 to 8 hours sleep you need really, if you can. It's
Yeah.
hard on shift, like we mentioned. Doesn't always happen.
I've really been protecting my sleep in the last year and a half. It really is a secret superpower. Like I have an alarm to go to bed now.
Yeah.
Like I don't have an alarm to get up. Well, I sometimes have an alarm to get up if it's like working days or whatever.
Yeah.
But when I'm at home, my alarm goes off at about 8 o'clock, and that tells me in the next hour I should be preparing to go to bed and getting into bed. So stop being on the laptop, stop doing whatever I'm doing. Go and have. I use a sleep thing, Hibernate, which has got
Magnesium.
a variety of different things in it as well as magnesium.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of my wind down, because otherwise I could easily, the old me could find myself still at the laptop at 1 a.m. and I'm like, oh, such a dick.
Yeah.
And then you're angry because you're not getting rest.
Yeah. I'm similar, like you said, last year and a half, 2 years, I've dialed in best I can sleep and nutrition, because all those things are important if you're gonna get good at CrossFit for me, but like your sport or your thing, if you want to start leveling up, you've got to look at those things as well as just training. They're really important, aren't they?
Hydration?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. I've never been great at that in the past, so I bought a good litre bottle with like measurements here.
Nice. How many of them you have in a day?
I have at least 2 of these a day, 2.5, amongst like my electrolyte, and then after my electrolyte, I have my blood.
Is that a litre jug?
Yeah, 1 litre. So I have 2.5 plus another
plus
half.
your shakes and coffee and whatever. So we're looking at about 3 litres a day.
Yeah.
I think you need to have a little bit more than that.
Everyone says that, and like I say, it is a struggle for me. Like I measure it now, and I'm like at least 2, get 2 in a day. But I'm weeing all the time.
I've got an old lady bladder, but you do need to just be used to weeing every hour and a half.
I'm starting to wake up in the night for a wee now because I want more.
Yeah, that's the frustration. I've got to drink enough water early on in the day, otherwise I do. Like sometimes you down a pint before you go to bed. It's a stupid idea because then you are waking up at 2 a.m.
You're gonna wake up, don't you?
It's just stupid.
Yeah, annoyingly.
What else? I've just started something called X Endurance. Have you heard of them?
Yes.
I saw them at High Rocks. They have a lactic acid buffer product.
Nice. Yeah.
Just started taking that about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I've been measuring my 10K time on the bike, which historically, if you get it under, for our age, you're a bit younger than me. How old are you?
35.
You're older than me.
Am I?
Similar.
Yeah, I think we're very close, aren't we? We're in the same age group at the fire.
Why do I look so much older than you? Jesus. For our age group, if you can do it in 15 minutes, apparently you're an elite athlete.
10K.
So that was my target. Yeah. What do you reckon you do a 10K bike in?
I honestly don't know. 15 minutes?
I thought you were going to say 9 or something.
No, I don't know, mate. I'll test it.
No, mine was. It took me ages to get it under 15. And I've been taking this X Endurance product for about 5 weeks now. And I did a little post on it. 13 minutes and 23 seconds, I think I did it.
Nice.
It's like a minute and a half. Because it's a minute and a half over a marathon isn't really much. No. But a minute and a half over 15 minutes is massive.
Yeah, massive, yeah.
What's that? Wow.
What's it called? I'll have to look at that.
X Endurance.
I'll have a look.
So I looked at it because Matt Adams was already following it.
Yeah.
And I saw them at the High Rocks event because I imagine that's kind of their niche as well.
I think that's where I've seen them actually. When you said it, I've seen that somewhere.
So I started using that, and then when I went to order it again, they sort of got in contact with me about the podcast. I think we're going to have them on for a chat because I don't really know a lot about. I know the buzzwords when I say, your lactic threshold and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, do I really know what it means? No, it means my legs are on fire and I can't do anymore. Because, we all know it. Like, you must think this all the time. It's probably a good question for you. Like, how do you pace yourself through a workout? Because sometimes I just go out way too fast. Yeah. And then I always think of it like, the old like Nintendo Wii games or whatever, where you have to hit the button. But if you hit the button too fast, you burn out, don't you? And then and it slows right down. Yeah. So you need to hit in that optimum so you stay below that so your body can keep processing everything quicker. And I think that's basically what they're trying. That's what the product does.
Yeah, postpone
From my
that.
better.
Yeah, fall off sit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you sort of gauge yourself when you're going through these quick sprint 10, 15-minute workouts?
That mate, yeah, it's a skill, isn't it? It's a skill in itself, and like I say, I'm 3-4 years into CrossFit now, so I've learned from mistakes. Like you said, burning out too soon. It is an element of trial and error, knowing your pace, and when, like, let's say in a 10-minute workout, for example, if I hit the button at 5 minutes, I won't make it to the end. I know if I can get to 8 minutes at like 90%, and then on my last 90 seconds, 2 minutes, I can push that button and
Yes.
that's when I can push that button. That's my time frame. Other people's might be
Yeah, yeah,
sooner,
yeah.
later, and it's doing those types of workouts. You learn where your time is, when to go now, go, and I can maintain that.
So when you get on a machine and you look at it, what pacings are you looking at? What pacings do you know you could do manageably?
Yeah,
Because
like,
I'm only just really learning this properly when people have been giving me rowing programs and stuff like that, and they're like, stick around this or stick around that.
yeah,
And sometimes when you're doing when you're trying to build that, they make you do it really slow.
yeah.
And that's hard. They're like, oh, hold of this, and I'm like, fuck, that feels so
too easy.
slow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think your pacings are when you get in on a skier or a bike erg, or what do you look for?
Yeah, so ski erg is probably like per 500 meter. So I'm looking at holding around 130. I can maintain that for a while. Any faster than that, I'll see a decline after a few minutes. Do you know what I mean? But 130, 135, I can hold for a little while. Similar to the row, 135, 140, I can hold for 1,000 meters.
Yeah.
If I wanted to do 500, I can go faster, but like you said, it's a quicker fall off. And in CrossFit, it's kind of not just what you do. So I need to know the pace I can hold and then get off and do something else. You know, I need to be able to jump on the gymnastic bar and do 10 muscle ups, or start cranking out wall balls. So I kind of need to, my pace is usually around the 130, 135 mark on ergs. Bike, probably a bit slower. Assault bike, it's more RPM, so like 75, 80 RPM for me is like my constant, where I can get off and start doing thrusters, say, or something. That's kind of what I pay attention to, because usually I need to be able to get off and keep moving. Do you know what I mean? I can't be standing there feeling sorry for myself after.
So the rest and recovery, we spoke a little bit around sleep. Are you having one full day rest a week?
Yes, I have usually Sunday off. Depending on shift, like we say, I move my workout days around, but one day off a week. And I usually have one zone 2 day where it's 45 to 60 minute zone 2 bike or a swim. But not always. Sometimes if my programming is like hectic and it's like a 2-hour session, I might split that in half, do that on my active recovery day to get it all in. But yeah, standard week is 5 hard sessions, 1 zone 2 recovery session, a day off. Okay. And that's working for me at the minute.
If you're a regular listener to the podcast, then chances are you are big into your own personal development and the development of firefighters around you. So I wanted to remind you of our mobile app Drill Book. This is a free training and development resources made by firefighters for firefighters. Heading on to Drillbook, you will find incident debriefs, radio messages, knots and lines, quick reference guides, quizzes every single day. We've got useful links to the ERG, to Web Rescue, to JESU, Euro Rescue, 10-second triage, National Operational Guidance, and not to mention our daily quizzes where you will find questions on extrication, casualty handling, breathing apparatus, fire development, water rescue, rope rescue, you name it. It is the go-to resource if you've got a spare 5 minutes on the firehouse to develop yourself and those around you. Not only that, if you're looking to get into the fire service, we've got advice on there on interview questions, interview answers. You can build your own questioning in there. And again, remember, this is built by firefighters for firefighters, so you can add your own drills in there. You can pick the drills that you find the most favorite. There is literally hundreds of training ideas, hundreds of drills in there. Remember, this app is absolutely free and it grows every single day down to the contributions of our thousands and thousands of users. It's freely available on Android, Apple, and you will find it in the links for this podcast. Remember, it's called personal development. The clue's in the name. You've got to work twice as hard on yourself as you do on the job. So always be growing, always be developing. Now let's get back to the show. I'm going to be the typical person, shiny thing, and go straight away and look at this team training app because I'm kind of just dicking about a little bit at the minute, to be honest with you. Like, since I've got past all the comps that we were doing for the Firefighter Challenge stuff, I'm kind of treading water, but I also I've not got any competitions lined up, so that cognitive freedom at the minute kind of nice to be honest, because
It is sometimes, isn't it? Yeah.
conversations we've had personally, I've got a lot of other rubbish
Yeah.
going on in my life, stuff of my own creation, divorce stuff and work stuff and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to be able to give yourself. How do you be kind to yourself? That's probably a good question because I feel like I'm not very kind to myself.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably worse at it than I am. I'm a bit more chill. Like I say, I feel like I've figured out the balance with work, sport, life, and I like going for a
So that's what I was saying
yeah,
about like that workout pace. I think like your life workout pace is quite good.
yeah,
It doesn't. It looks like you are making constant progress, but you're not going to burn out.
yeah, yeah.
It looks manageable.
Yeah, I think I've found the sweet spot for me. Might not be the same for
Mm.
everyone, but I feel like on the way I'm going, the trajectory is good, and kind of just hanging on with that. It's because it's working.
No, it is because I feel like we romanticize addicts and people like me at sometimes and we go, oh yeah, burn and midnight oil, blah blah blah. No one sees the backstage of this person's just mental torture and when they end up setting fire to their life once every 6 months,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, they don't put that bit out there,
yeah,
but that's usually what's happening, or they injure something, they snap something, or a relationship explodes,
yeah,
and you're like, yeah, don't do that. That doesn't have to be part of the narrative as much as we go, oh yeah, lone wolf, stoic, and you're like, no, dick,
yeah.
stupid. Don't do that. You're going to run out of people that like you eventually. You're going to run out of injuries. Cats only have 9 lives. You
Yeah,
can't do this every year. You can't have a big surgery every year.
yeah,
You're gonna, and I laugh about it, but it's a sincere thing that I worry about at times. Like I need to sort my shit out. I'm old enough and stupid enough to maybe learn a little bit, but
yeah,
that's why I think maybe it's a good thing for us to sort of close with. Actually, I try and have some guiding principles. So you got a couple of tattoos after your thing. Is there any like quotes that you feel help you? Or you're a quote kind of guy? Are there any guiding principles that you kind of live your life by?
yeah. A few like we said, I'm more fatty. Acceptance, love of fate. And controlling the controllables. So like you can't always control what's happening or external events, but you can control your attitude, your effort, your outlook, and that will help you deal with external events. You know what I mean? So looking inward for answers and doing the best we can with the tools we've got, and you can
Mm,
navigate through those obstacles, those difficulties. And another one from like Marcus Aurelius is the obstacle is the way.
mm,
Like
yeah, one.
it's a good one, mate. It works, because that life is obstacles. We get to an obstacle, and you can either say, "This is me. That's it. I'm done," or we can start looking at it and think, "Well, is there a way around? Is there a way through? Over?" And like by doing that and getting through it, the next obstacle isn't as difficult because you've built some knowledge, some experience from getting through the last one. Do you know what I mean? And like I said before, remind yourself of what you've been through and what you've had the strength to endure. You get to the next thing in your life, the next difficult thing, and you've look back and I'm like, well, I did this last time, I did that, and it worked, so I'm going to do this again. Or you kind of level up each time. I like embracing that path, that journey, that process. I set goals obviously, but I'm willing to like take the hits. Like progress isn't linear. It's
Mhm.
2 steps back, 1 step forward sometimes, isn't it? And it's being accepting of that and just think it's going to take me time, but I will get there in the end, and having
Mm.
a bigger
Have you
outlook.
read Ryan Holiday's book on it?
Yeah, yeah. It's just brought a new one out, an updated version, and it's on my Christmas list.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. So that I think it's 10 years old or something in his last podcast or whatever.
It was, yeah, it was 2014 it came out, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So he's done a brand new updated version of that, like changed things slightly. So it's on my Christmas list.
Are you an audiobook guy? Are you a physical book guy?
No, I
You're a
like
physical book
reading.
guy, I think.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
Yeah, you
like
do,
like
don't
we
you?
said, shut off time. Usually 9:30, 10 o'clock. Telly off, phones off. Get my book out for half an hour. Read some sort of self improvement book, and then get my head down. It's kind of my routine. I like doing it.
What's on your recommended reading list? What would you advise someone if you were trying to sell them on the idea of go and read something? I'll grab my phone and I'll see what's on mine.
Yeah.
But what ones have you enjoyed lately?
All them stoic ones, like the obstacle is the way. They're all Ryan Holiday. To be fair, I'm a little bit obsessed. Um,
Absolutely, mate. You find something that works.
Yeah, the obstacle is the way. Stillness is the key. Courage is
Yeah.
Calling and Ego is the Enemy. They're all like great self-help books, you know, like addressing weaknesses, not ignoring them, and
Mhm.
like they've helped me through difficult times and give me like that extra edge and motivation to improve. Definitely, any of
Mhm.
those, brilliant.
I think Ryan's one of Ryan's first ones was the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, and he did
Yeah,
a lot of his work off the back of that. But Stoicism is fantastic.
yeah,
I think I heard him best describe it as it's the difference between position and disposition. So position is where you are in life, which you can't do a great deal about. Like, you going through your injury, your surgery, me going through the challenges. Your position is what it
yeah,
is, but your disposition is how you feel about the thing. And disposition is within your control. It's the adage of the silver lining. It's the obstacle is the way. It's the looking for the stepping stone rather than the barrier that you can't get over. It's your interpretation
yeah,
of it, which I think is a really, really useful. A counselor said it to me, and again, there's so many ways to reinterpret this. But they said, "How could this be brilliant?" And I was telling them about something that was going horribly wrong in my life, and they was like, how could this be brilliant? And forcing yourself to find that element in it, and you've got to be ready to hear that,
yeah,
because if you've just in the thralls of that depression, you've only just been told about it, then nobody really would be very receptive to that high five American-y.
yeah,
What's the best part of this, Zach?
yeah,
And you're like, you go fuck
yeah,
yourself. That's what it is.
yeah,
How about no?
yeah,
How about I'd rather shit in my hands and clap than have to endure another minute of this.
yeah,
But when you feel like someone's ready, you can only how long do you think you have a pity party for?
yeah,
Like, I try and limit myself to one evening. Something goes really wrong, I let myself sit in that muddy puddle of shit for an evening, and then I'm like, no more.
yeah,
You can't just catastrophize and blame the world for the next. Some people carry that around with them all day, every day, and just like can't wait to tell the world about how unfair
yeah.
everyone is on them. How long do you sort of wallow in stuff?
Yeah, tough one, mate. Yeah, like similar to yourself, probably like an hour, 2 hours for the more minuscule stuff.
Yeah.
But I've had the luxury of going through something really hard, horrible,
Hmm.
and that period was like a week of tears of why me, you know, life shit, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, all that stuff. And then after a week, I was like, no, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna do something about it. And now, because of that, anything else, my perception has changed.
Yeah.
I'm more chill, more relaxed. Like that can't touch me anymore because I've been through this, mate. This is so much
You've
worse.
got a bigger spectrum, haven't you?
Yes.
Like, your spectrum of a bad day starts at I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Literally, I've got these feelings of my arms aren't working, I can't talk, I'm about to die.
Yeah.
So that is the worst day.
Yeah.
So if
It's
as long as it
like,
doesn't get anywhere near that,
mate, it's like a superpower. It's given me so much better outlook, and like even dealing with like the stress of competition. Like when I went to Marbella, there's a bit of pressure on myself, but I like the other part of it. We said like I'm 3-2-1 go. I want to win. I know my capabilities. I know I'm getting good at this stuff. But then the other part of it is 2 years ago, you might not have been able to do this again, mate. So it's that
yeah,
like getting me to the start line, just thinking I'm just lucky to be here. I'm buzzing.
yeah,
And then on the start line, then we release the beast and like now you can go, mate.
yeah.
And it's
Do you know who I think's great at that? Who is the Royal Marine with the mustache sometimes who does CrossFit?
I don't know.
He's been doing it for
In
years.
UK,
He
or
looks like a Mexican.
I don't know, mate.
Oh
I'll try and
God, I'm
find
gonna annoy
out.
myself now.
Mustache.
He's been in like the top 10 for years, and he's around when Rich Froning was around. He may just be going into retirement now, but I think his social media tag is always like "pay the man." Do you know what
Oh,
I mean? He's always saying
wait,
that.
yeah, you've just given it me.
Who is it? You know
Oh,
the one I'm on
I know
about.
exactly who you're
He
on
seems
about.
to have such a sunny disposition.
Yeah,
Like, he's always the one taking the mic, shooting the shit backstage. And I know he's been there and done it so
yeah,
many times. He's probably more relaxed in that competition environment. But also, there may be an element of his military background in that, where he's like, Oh, he's done some really rough shit.
Yeah, he's
Do you
been
know what I
through
mean?
real chaos, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been real chaos. So people are like, "Oh, this is a really hard day," and he's like, "What, in this beautifully air-conditioned, stadium with all of our Gucci Nocco drinks and Gymshark clothing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, so maybe again, it's that spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah.
His spectrum of the worst day might be one of his friends has passed away in a conflict or something. I don't know, but he just seems happy to get up every day.
Yeah, that, mate. Like I said, it's a superpower, isn't it? And it can level you up against your competition sometimes that are having a bad day because it's raining. And you're like, that's not a bad day, mate.
Great.
Yeah. You've already surpassed all the people that are struggling with the externals, aren't you? So
I enjoyed it most in one of the Firefighter Challenge competitions where it was really, really, really hot one year, and we had a few people pass out on the course, and everyone was really worried, and we were going to cancel some runs and stuff like that. And I was like, this is great, because just doing it at all has just become significantly harder.
Yeah.
So people that can't do that bit, I had this when I was in the SSU Days Wins thing. Like, there was some incredible athletes there, but most of them were used to exercising in the nice clothes, in the nice CrossFit gym, not at 3 a.m. crawling around the sand, having eaten no food and had no sleep.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I wonder if there's that firefighter element within you where, you're used to getting up at stupid hours, doing difficult things in less than perfect circumstances. So when you're in a nice Gucci gym and the workout's about to start, you just seem, and you can see it in you now, you've just got that just happiness, like, oh, I'm glad to be here, approach to life.
Yeah. And like you say, you look left and right and people are complaining about it's too hot, it's too cold, and the workout's too hard, and you're already gone. We're used to that. We're used to that stuff. We like it.
Yeah.
We lean into it.
Great.
Yes.
I'm so glad you're focused on that.
Yeah.
Because you're convincing yourself to lose already. You're almost building a list of reasons why you're going to lose, so you've got them ready in your pocket when you inevitably lose in a minute.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to leave you be, brother.
Yeah.
I've loved chatting with you today, mate. We've gone
man.
for like an hour and 40 minutes. It's always so easy to chat to you. I feel like I could talk to you for another 2 hours. But what are you looking forward to for next year? What can people tell people where to find you first and foremost?
Yeah.
So some sponsors and people can get hold of you. And then tell us what you got coming up.
Yeah, Instagram, I'm the loudest on. I go on that the most. So Zac Blackledge on Instagram. You'll find me there. I share my CrossFit stuff on there all the time. And next year goals are CrossFit Open, do well in that. Quarters are on my list this time. No excuses. I want to be fit and healthy for that. Let's see what I can do. Just come off the back of winning my Bayer Championships. So I'm good enough, I'm my ability's there.
Oh, yeah.
I just need to time it right with fitness, get this strength up a little bit.
Where does the Masters finish? Because you're starting to peak as you enter. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're starting to peak as you're entering that Masters range now, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got 5 years in this category, and like I said, I've just entered it. This is my time to shine.
Success, baby.
We'll see. So like this year, maybe not. Next year, hopefully, CrossFit Games Masters. That's my goal. Like I say, there's no serious time scale on it. If it happens this year, great. If it doesn't, it's going to be the year after. But it's happening within these 5 years. I'm going to make it. I'll make it there. That's my plan.
Consistent progress, mate.
Yes.
I love it. Well, I sincerely look forward to calendars aligning, and maybe me and a few other friends can come and support your wife and your kid, and be there front row cheering you on. It'd be incredible, because to see you from where you've been, and just this relentless optimism, and finding the silver linings, and leaning into fate as you have done. It's just been incredible, mate. I think it's such a great example to people, and I love you so much, and I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, mate. Thanks so much. Great speaking to you, pal, as always.
The Firefighters podcast was created to recognize, acknowledge, inspire, and hopefully even motivate these incredible individuals who have chosen to be part of the first responder community. Our driving purpose is to create a legacy resource for the current and future generations of firefighters and first responders. We get some incredible feedback from listeners and guests. And as the podcast grows, our desire to create longevity and sustainability means that we are asking for the support of our listeners. If you want to support the podcast, if you want to get discounts to our merchandise, hoodies, clothing, coins, patches, tallies, and also access to all of the incredible documents get shared with us from our podcast guests and sector leaders, then please head over to our Patreon page, and for just £3 a month, you can support support the future of the podcast. Please finally hit that follow, subscribe, or rate button on the platform you're listening. And wherever you're around the world, please support your emergency services responders. And thank you for listening.